Hey everybody, welcome to socaldramtram. I'm Matt.
And I'm Cesar.
And today, before we get started, we just want to say, hey, if you're new here, don't forget to click that subscribe button on your way out. And be sure you ring the little bell for notifications, that way you know when we drop a new video. And to everybody, be sure you like this little video. And as we get going, what do we got on the bar today, Cesar?
Today, my brother, we got something from your bar, I believe.
That's right. We got a little bit of a limited edition right now. Not so limited, but definitely hard to find. We got Waterford Whiskey from Ballykilcavan. Hit it.
Ireland.
So, Waterford Whiskey. This is going to be something that's really fun for us to review. I'm really excited to get into it. But before we get to it, I know we're just foaming at the mouth for this whiskey. We did want to go ahead and take a quick second. We recently surpassed 200 subscribers on this channel, and we just really want to take a second and just say thank you to every single one of you guys. It really does mean the world to us. I know I went ahead and threw out a little thank you video. If you haven't seen it, it's right here. But this is the first time we've shot in about a month due to this, that, or the other. But we really just wanted to take a second and say thank you. You want anything to add on that, Cesar?
Yeah, no, thank you guys. Like I always say, I'm surprised we got past 30. So thank you to all 200 of you. And, and I hope we're entertaining enough.
I mean, clearly, 200 people care even remotely about our opinions on whiskey, or just here to see the banter. Whichever category you fall in, we really do appreciate you guys being here. But with that out of the way, let's get into this whiskey. So, Waterford Whiskey from Ireland, and if my research is correct, and by research I mean, hey, I watched these videos, they are one of the newer Irish whiskey distilleries coming up from Ireland, and their main focal point, their big claim to fame, you could say, is the focus on terroir. It's a $5 word right there, terroir. So that basically essentially translates to of the land, and basically they're kind of focusing in on the tracking and traceability from the barley that is grown and how that goes through the entire process, then to get into be made into whiskey, distilled into whiskey, put into a barrel, and then put onto a shelf for us to enjoy. This is basically brand new. This is one of 2 expressions that they've released, and one of the cool things that I find with this distillery is that they're looking for specifics when it comes to the barley that they're going to be using. And I think I read or saw somewhere that there's 76 farms that even meet their qualifications to utilize their barley. That doesn't mean they're using all 76 farms. It just means that these are the ones that they could pull from if they want. There's a lot of cool information out there. For this bottle in particular, I imagine all the bottles are going to have this, but this was the one that I was fortunate enough to able to get. And there's a little code on the back. And you can go to waterfordwhiskey.com. You can enter this code. I kid you not, we looked at it earlier, and the amount of information, you talk about transparency, you talk about like what went into what you're drinking, it's all there. Like, I started reading it, I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to fit this into a video. So what I'm gonna do is I'm probably gonna end up putting this code for the bottle in the description, and if you really wanna see it, check it out. There's a lot of information.
Folks, let me tell you this, like, as we say, it might sound pretty like dumb. Like, all right, I'm gonna type this in on this website, and I'm gonna just get this information from it. Big whoop, folks. Let me explain it like this: if anyone has ever done any of those gene pools, like 23andMe, exactly, it literally lays it out like that. But for the bottle, from the grain to where it's grown, it gives you a map region. It gives you videos, pictures of the actual farm. It gives you videos and the interviews with the farmer. Oh my God, they go so in depth, and it's so nice to look at too, because the way they put it together, it's not just words and
it's
pictures.
Very visually appealing.
Yeah, very visually appealing. So I do recommend looking up the bottle's information, because it's just like a 23andMe for alcohol. And just as he said, there's only like 75 farms that barely meet the standards, and then they're going to pick and choose from them what they want to get. So that just means that out of the thousands or whatever farms that they have in Ireland, that 75 of them have an A+ grade, and of those 75, there's only a couple they get to choose from out of those A+ that they want to put into their whiskey. So I mean, to go that far into depth with the whiskey and brand new, putting all this money out there to trace it, I can only imagine it's got to be good, you know?
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. Cesar and I were talking a little bit earlier while we were kind of setting up for the shoot, and I can't wait to get another bottle from Waterford, from a different farm, because I really want to see
the comparison,
the differences between, like, because I'll be honest with you, we sampled this already to kind of kill the neck pour, and there is a very significant difference from other whiskeys that I've had.
Just on the neck pour.
Enough to notice, right? And like, by no means are we pros. Like, we joke about it, but by no means are we pros. And you can tell a difference. There is something specific about this that is different. And we're going to, of course, get into it. But before we do that, we're going to tell you a little bit more about, you know, just other things, because why not? But my coin I'm going to be using today is going to be my Whiskey Tribe coin. That's right. My patron Whiskey Tribe coin says Magnificent Bastard on the back. Reason why I'm going to be using it is because I would have never heard about Waterford. Well, that's not to say, but I never would have heard about Waterford without listening to Rex and Daniel from the Whiskey Tribe. They have a great video on that. You can check it out actually right up here. I'm going to link it right there because it's definitely worth checking out if you were curious about this bottle. Who are you using, Cesar?
For my coaster coin, I'm using Old Soul, the Whiskey Soldier. And for my topper coin, I'm using my Pokemon one, because I'm pretty sure one of these are fire Pokemon, and last time I tried this whiskey was pretty fire, so.
I was going to say, because it's going to turn into a game of gotta catch them all. Okay, so no more chit-chat about nonsense. We're going to get into the whiskey.
Nose, what do you got on the nose?
Oh my gosh. So I said it, 30 minutes ago when we cracked this open, and it really hasn't changed. So number one, this is presented at 50% ABV, so it's 100 proof. So it's got a little bit of a bite to it, but not so much to where it's like, oh my gosh, this is gonna, punch me in the face. It's very soft in terms of just the alcohol. So you get that little bit of that Sharpie or acetone note, but it's immediately then masked, for me anyway, by like a berries and cream, like fresh raspberries and blueberries, and like a vanilla custard just comes out of this glass for me. It's very desserty without being like sickly sweet. What do you get?
For me, I'm getting peaches and kiwis, and to be honest, a little bit more kiwis than anything. Probably specifically because the past couple weeks, I've like religiously been eating like 2 kiwis a night, like 4 nights a week. And I eat them like apples now, like with the skin and everything. So, I mean, hey, if you haven't done it, try it. It's really good. But yeah, so I really have that kiwi flavor and skin flavor embedded in my head right now. And the nose is really bringing it out a lot.
So on the palate, at least for me, the alcohol shows up. Like the 50% is definitely there. And it's like the first initial thing you get, but then it slowly just kind of dissipates. Wow. And again, those citrus notes come up. I get a little bit of lemon, maybe a little bit of orange peel. And it's almost like an orange creamsicle once you kind of get going on it. Little bit of pepper, but I don't really want to even call it a pepper. It's like almost like a baking spice, like a nutmeg or a cinnamon, but it's very interesting on it. But that berries and cream note is so prominent for me. I remember, I think it was my 25th birthday, and went over to my dad's place. My dad was a chef, and he was making a whole bunch of food. I think he did ribs. It was so good. But for dessert, he made this cream puff. And guys, I kid you not, this cream puff was at least 15 inches in diameter.
Shit.
Massive. And it wasn't just like a normal cream puff, because my dad was on crack when he would do these things. And he would put like creme brulee inside of it. So you'd get all the burnt sugars, but then you'd have like raspberries, blueberries, and mint all mixed into this thing. And that is exactly this glass for me. But again, going back to the terroir element of this, there's still like a quality of malt to it. Like when you take a scotch, like, like a Monkey Shoulder or a Johnny Walker, like you can get a malty foundation, or even for me, like Old Pulteney, like malt is the foundation of that whiskey. This is there and a little bit more predominant in there. Like you can get, it's not vegetation, but that's the word that I keep circling around. Like you can sense like a farm element to this, for me anyway. What are you getting? So
tangerines right off the back, definitely light and crisp, as you would expect any Irish whiskey to be honest. I mean, if you know what Irishes are like, this is definitely an Irish. And so far, folks, it's going neck and neck with that Yellow Spot, it's really, really good. And I'm having a hard time trying to think at reasons why the Yellow Spot is better, because I am blown away at how good this is for how light and crisp and refreshing it is for a whiskey. And to be honest, this to me, I think is hands down the best light crisp whiskey I've ever had. And at the end, it's like a little bit more of a waxy finish on my end. Definitely a little bit more of a waxy finish, but it's definitely very tropical too, like with those tangerines. I picture sipping this whiskey, folks, on a nice hammock that's tied to 2 coconut trees on white sand in the Caribbean, because this is definitely, like, if you go out there and you don't like any of those lady drinks like pina coladas or whatever mixed drinks.
Fruity drinks are okay,
no. I would take that back then. Because I
know who I'm referencing if you're watching this.
I drink some of them. But if you want to go out there and you're like, oh no, I need a whiskey, this is going to be the whiskey for your tropical adventures, my friend. For sure. Keep that in mind. Mark my words.
You mentioned the waxy feel, right? So I said it a little bit earlier off camera. Like saltwater taffy, like taffy candy that you can get, those things that just look like almost like bubble gum. They're wrapped in wax paper. Like that mouthfeel you get after eating them, that's the mouthfeel I'm getting out. Like there's a little bit of an oily aspect to it, but it's definitely more waxy than anything. Like it coats your palate and it stays with you. The finish on this guy goes for a while, and I really enjoy it. Should mention the color on this. Very light. I don't know if you can see it on camera.
Oh yeah, super light.
But very light, almost like straw hay. Like it's not super rich color. It's not like an amber or, dark honey or anything like that. But it's also only 3 years. And that was another thing in the code that you can see. I think it was like 3 years, 8 months, and 11 days or something like that. I may be off on that. There was a lot of stuff in that little blog you could read. But only 3 years old. And I'll tell you, this is some really great stuff. You mentioned Yellow Spot, and for me, it's Green Spot. This is taking what those do and elevating it. Like it really does a nice job of, like, you can have your Green Spots, you can have your Red Breast, you can have your Yellow Spots, whatever Irish you like. And then this guy comes along and you're just like, oh, hey, who are you? What are you about? And you have it and you're like,
exactly.
Wow, this is fundamental to Irish whiskey, but at the same time, it's such a step and a cut above the rest. Like,
yep.
I'm going to have a hard time not pulling for this.
Exactly.
Like, the buttery mouthfeel, the wax. Oh, God, it's so good. I should shut up.
I'm so blown away at how this is a brand new distillery, and for Ireland and Irish whiskey, a category that's up and coming even more and more now that whiskey is getting more popular. You got the OGs like Jameson, who pretty much owns everything, that's pumping out a bunch of different flavors with like Golden Spot, Yellow Spot, all these things, and then you got this
Golden Spot. I'm like, what's that one? And then I realized you meant Yellow Spot. I did the research for that video, so I'm like, that's a Golden Spot.
Yeah, Yellow Spot, Green Spot, and all those. And then you got this new guy on the block, in the industry where all the big guys are like gonna go look at you and be like, what you doing on this block, boy? No, this guy just stepped up and packed a punch. Probably knockout power with the first hit. So if I were those other, distilleries, I'd look out for this guy. I'd definitely be not intimidated at first, but after drinking it, I'd be pretty damn intimidated for sure.
So for me, going on his analogy of like, the boxing analogy, I'm going to switch it up a little bit. This is, fellas, this is for like, it's going to sound awful, but this is when, when you're dating in high school and, you're holding the person you like or your girlfriend's hand, and then the other girl walks past you and your head damn near rolls off your shoulders. This is the other girl.
That meme?
Exactly. Okay, back to this. I put 3 drops of water, and it's 50%, so I can definitely take it. The alcohol-y Sharpie note that you tend to get is kind of jumping out at me in the nose, but I did take a sip with it, and it just kind of rounds off those flavors. Like, suddenly I get a little bit more of the citrus, like a little bit more of that orange peel. It's almost like it blows up that orange creamsicle note. Like I'm getting a little bit more of the vanilla. I want to say this was aged in American oak and American virgin oak, if I remember correctly. Again, that thing had so much information. But you get some of those flavors from that cask, and they're definitely a little bit more rounded out with the water for sure. But again, the citrus and the berries note, that's what I just keep coming back to. And that's probably just because that's the memory stamp that I have for myself, is that, you know, cream, you know, puff that my dad made with berries, mint, and all of that, and just enjoying that. And you get that crusty bread feel from the cream puff itself. It's just, damn, this is delicious for me. What are you getting with the water?
So, I'm surprised because, you know, at first, when I put water in, you do get a tad bit more of that sharpiness, you know, so I'm like, uh-oh, here we go. And then the finish comes, and I was like, wow, that locks in that fruit flavor. Like, it very citrusy. The citrus just shot up, and it goes past that sharpiness, and wow, it's wow. I mean, it's good. I still prefer it neat. Yeah. But from where it started to where it finished, it did a full turn. One other
thing that I would say is with the water, the waxy, laffy, taffy mouthfeel tends to go away a little bit.
For sure.
Like it's hands almost down. Like, and I only put 3 drops. Like
same.
It diluted it quite a bit.
Same.
So definitely neat for me on this one, but I would welcome it with water. Like I don't want to do it, but since it's like pushing 90 plus degrees recently in Southern California, I kind of want to just put an ice cube in this one day and just see what happens. Like see how it goes. I mean, because you know, hey, I got a day off tomorrow, and why not?
Sorry. One thing I totally forgot to take into perception, and which is going to go into my rating. I totally forgot this was 50% alcohol. Mm-hmm. It is so crisp and refreshing. The most crisp and refreshing 50% alcohol bottle I've ever had.
Yeah, it's not
blowing
too
my
harsh.
mind. No, not at all. To be honest, I was already gonna rate it, you know, like decently, but that just kind of locks it into. So I'm gonna give this a 4 for sure. As far as my ratings go, I'm gonna give it a 4. It surpassed everything I expected. I love the information they give out. High alcohol ABV and still very light and crisp. Like, how do you do that? But they did it. So my hat's off to them for this brand new distillery. Waterford got it going on. I can't wait to try another one. Yeah. Because, oh man, if they really like truck it down this much, I can't wait to see what farmer I like the most.
Yeah. and I mean, as far as Waterford, you know, hitting down in the States and stuff like that, which by the way, Alan, you know who you are, Whiskey Straight Al. If you haven't gotten a bottle of this, you need to go do it, man. I think you'll really enjoy it.
Oh, Al, brother. Slaja, for sure. You would love this.
It sounded like your toast was like drunk already. All right, I'm gonna get my thoughts together and wrap this up because we're going a little long. All right, 50% ABV, new Irish whiskey, focusing in on the barley, focusing in on terroir. What does that really mean in the grand scheme of things? We're gonna end up finding out over the next couple of years, I'm sure, based on my palate, based on what I'm tasting in this glass. Sure, there's a little excitement from me for this bottle. Let me give you a couple of little stats real quick. Again, 50% ABV. This was about $80, if I'm not mistaken. I did get it online from the UK. You can see the stamp right there. So I did have to have this shipped. So that was a little bit salty, but I got some other cool bottles out of it, so I'm all right with that. Holds up to the water for sure. I just prefer it neat. Beautiful presentation on the bottle. It's very simple. It's got the ridges. I like it. The transparency alone, in all honesty, guys, it's a 5. Like, it's totally a 5.
Is that your first 5?
No, it's not my first one, but I don't hand them out often. The biggest thing that keeps tipping me over the edge, other than the flavor, like just going from an objective standpoint on the bottle, right? That code, like when I saw it initially, when it came in, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like, it'll give me some information or whatever, and that's cool. I was floored by the amount of information. Like, if you're a person that's into the transparency of what's on the bottle, be a whiskey nerd and get a bottle of this, because you will not be disappointed just in that factor alone. But then you just get this beautiful whiskey at the end of the day too. So for me, it's a 5. Like, this is a 5 every day, all day. I really hope that the next offerings that we get to try go in line with this guy in terms of just flavor profile and presentation, because I would really hate for it to be like, oh man, we just got a really good bottle. You know what I mean? Who knows? That may happen, but I hope it doesn't seem like that would be the case with as much TLC that has gone into this. So it's a 5 from me. Anything else you want to add on that one?
Nope. What about you, Matt?
Nah, well, hey, do us a favor. Check us out. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, at socaldramtram. Hit us up in the comments. Have you been fortunate enough to try Waterford whiskey yet? If you had, which one did you get? Did you get the Ballykilcavan? I really hope I'm saying that right from my Irish people. Or did you get the Bannow? Again, hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. But nonetheless, guys, if you get a chance, I think it's safe to say Cesar and I would recommend this one.
Oh, yeah.
So let us know your thoughts down below. But until next, guys, stay safe and drink well. All aboard! Catch you next time. Hey everybody, hope you liked that video.
Don't forget to hit that bell for notifications.
And don't forget to subscribe.